So, ladies and gentlemen, today is a special day because today's Friday, which means it's the day of the Venus, it's day of the enjoyment and entertainment. So, we're gonna, delight you with some Nakshatra poetry with Sri Simon Chokuski. So, yes, I want to be entertained with poetry tonight.
All right. This is a crazy topic that I proposed, and Kapiel has taken a risk here having me on. But he's that's the kind of guy he is.
Eccentric.
So basically, those of you who don't know me, about 20 years ago, I started to study Vedic astrology with Hart Defoe in his at the Ayurvedic Institute in his intermediate level class. He let me in because I had read his book. And what fascinated me about his book was the part in the nakshatras. And so as I went into the class, I started writing this poem, a poem for each of the nakshatras describing their qualities. And I shared it with the students, and after the class was over, it kind of disappeared. I lost my copy. This was in 1998.
Wow.
So there was no cloud storage. We had these little rudimentary little computers. And anyway, I lost the copy. And just about a month ago, I was moving some boxes at my mom's place, and boom, there is this copy called the Nakshatra Poem 1998.
Wow.
Exactly 20 years after I wrote it and sort of forgot about it. So I'm going to share that with you as a learning tool, and anyone can download it. I'll share the link.
Okay.
So you can have access to it. But before I do, what I'd like to, since the topic today is poetry, and perhaps yesterday would have been also a good day because it was Revati Nakshatra, and Revati is mridu meaning soft and good for poetry, for, that kind of stuff. But today is Ashwini as we record this, which is also good for stuff like this. So I'd like to talk a little bit about what's sort of where I was at this when I composed this, because I had just graduated college a couple of years out, and I studied English Lit. And my favorite poets were the English Romantic poets. Now, the word romantic isn't what we associate with romantic, like, kissy kissy, Saint Valentine, that kind of thing. No.
Mm-hmm.
The romantic poets of the British romantic movement, they're British after all, so they're not romantic like we think of them. Their interest was finding out, who am I? And through the avenue of beauty, nature, and introspection. So romantic in this context means these people were just wowed by the beauty of natural experience and art and poetry. So they read Latin. So just like in Sanskrit, the word for poet is kavi.
Kavi, yes.
And a kavi but it's more than a poet, because a kavi and a poet traditionally is someone who has mastered all language, all learning, to the point where when they speak, it is Shastra. And so these poets had mastered Latin, Greek, French, Italian. They had read Homer in the original Greek. They had read Virgil in Latin. They had read the best in the original. So these are very bright rishis, not quite rishis, but mini rishis. And, I have Hershey's, and then you have the mini Hershey's. They were
yes.
Mini Hershey's. And so they were inquiring about the nature of life. So I just want to share with you something from these. These romantic poets who were my inspiration, they start with William Blake, then William Wordsworth, Coleridge, Shelley, Keats, and maybe Matthew Arnold, and a little bit of Robert Browning. But basically that's sort of, it's the early 1800s in England. And let me share my screen here, and I'll just show you what I'm talking about, so you get an idea of where I'm coming from when we do this. All right, can you see this?
Yes.
All right, so this is a famous poem by William Wordsworth called Intimations of Immortality. And so I'll just read to you a little bit here. And it starts like this. And basically, this is the sense of feeling that there's something more to life than just the physical.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time when meadow, grove, and stream, the earth and every common sight needed seem apparelled in celestial light. The glory and the freshness of a dream. It is not now as it hath been of yore. Turn wheresoe'er I may, by night or day, the things which I have seen I now can see no more. So there's this idea that as we grow older, I'm not going to read the whole thing, that we start to lose some of that sense of our immortality. And here's where it sort of culminates. Our birth is but a sleep and a forgetting. The soul that rises with us, our life's star, hath had elsewhere its setting and cometh from afar. Not in entire forgetfulness and not in utter nakedness, but trailing clouds of glory do we come from God, who is our home. Heaven lies about us in our infancy. Shades of the prison house begin to close upon the growing boy, but he beholds the light and whence it flows. He sees it in his joy. The youth who daily farther from the east must travel still is nature's priest, and by the vision splendid is on his way attended. At length the man perceives it die away and fade into the light of common day. So there's this idea that as we grow older, we lose our connection to the divine. And so what we are doing here with Jyotish, with our spiritual practices, is to reconnect to that sense of the divine through observing nature, through through using the stars as a vehicle to connect with the eternal. So that's, and you know, everyone should read this. This is, I mean, it's amazing. It's a beautiful poem. And I want to read one more here for you. I hope you don't mind.
Sure.
This is by Matthew Arnold, called The Buried Life. So Matthew is sitting with his honey and they're just chit-chatting, you know, they're just kind of laughing and having fun. And he gets this sense of, is this it? Is this all there is to life? And this poem flows out. And this is one of my favorite poems of all time. And here we go. Light flows our war of mocking words, and yet, behold, with tears mine eyes are wet. I feel a nameless sadness o'er me roll. Yes, yes, we know that we can jest. We know that we can smile, but there's a something in this breast to which thy light words bring no rest. And thy gay smiles no anodyne. Anodyne means remedy. Give me thy hand and hush a while, and turn those limpid eyes on mine, and let me read their love, thy inmost soul. Alas, is even love too weak to unlock the heart and let it speak? Are even lovers powerless to reveal to one another what indeed they feel? I knew the mass of men concealed their thoughts for fear that if revealed, they would by other men be met with blank indifference or with blame reproved. I knew they lived and moved, tricked in disguises, alien to the rest of men and alien to themselves, and yet the same heart beats in every human breast.
Wow.
But we, my love, doth a like spell benumb our hearts, our voices, must we too be numb? So I'm just going to skip down here. But often in the world's most crowded streets, but often in the din of strife, there rises an unspeakable desire after the knowledge of our buried life, a thirst to spend our fire and restless force in tracking out our true original course, a longing to inquire into the mystery of this heart which beats so wild, so deep in us, to know whence our lives come and where they go. And many a man in his own breast then delves, but deep enough, alas, none ever minds. And we have been on many thousand lines, and we have shown on each spirit power. But hardly have we, for one little hour, been on our own line, have we been ourselves. This is when Krishna says, better to be bad at your dharma than to do the dharma of another. This is what he's talking about. He's saying we do the dharma of other people. Our parents want us to be this. Our lovers want us to be that. Society wants us to be this. But hardly have we for one little hour truly been ourselves. And in this, so let's see what he has to say about it. Hardly had skill to utter one of all the nameless feelings that course through our breast, but they course on forever unexpressed. And long we try in vain to speak and act our hidden self. And what we say and do is eloquent, is well, but 'tis not. And then we will no more be racked with inward striving and demand of all the thousand nothings of the hour, their stupefying power. Ah yes, they benumb us at our call. All the thousand nothings, watching CNN, doing this, playing games on my phone, all the things that we use to numb us, drinking Budweiser, whatever it is, to distract us from that buried life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yet still from time to time, vague and forlorn, from the soul's subterranean depth upborne, as from an infinitely distant land come airs and floating echoes and convey a melancholy into all our day. Only, but this is rare, when a beloved hand is laid in ours, when jaded with the rushing glare of the interminable hours, our eyes can in another's read clear, when our world-deafened ear is by the tones of a loved voice caressed, a bolt is shot back somewhere in our breast, and a lost pulse of feeling stirs again. The eye sinks inward and the heart lies plain, and what we mean we say, and what we would we know. A man becomes aware of his life's flow, and hears its winding murmur, and he sees the meadows where it glides, the sun, the breeze. And there arrives a lull in the hot race, wherein he doth forever chase that flying and elusive shadow rest. An air of coolness plays upon his face, and an unwonted calm pervades his breast. Unwanted means unexpected, not unwanted.
Mm-hmm.
And then he thinks he knows the hills where his life rose, and the sea where it goes.
Wow.
Anyway, so these guys were the inspiration for what I call the Nakshatra poem. And so here is the Nakshatra poem. And hopefully this was written to help students understand the qualities of the Nakshatras. So you ready, Kapiel?
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. So we're going to start in the natural order. Again, this is 1998, so I've left it pretty much as it is. There may be some typos.
So you're starting with Ashwini, and today is Ashwini. This is why you were supposed to do it today, not yesterday. Try to do it.
Yes, correct. So the intro or per Byron proem to this never-ending poem is at the back, and you'll know why once you read it by and by. So welcome to this map of Vedic skies, this half-baked slice of the astral pie. It's hope my verbal feast and festival proves both tasty and digestible. So there's this idea that, like, I feel an affinity that in some past life, I was with these guys. Maybe I was the bartender serving them, drinks, but I got to hang out with them. Mm-hmm. And in this poem, I make a case, well, I was Byron in a past life, which is a, total vanity. But I do have this sort of simpatico sense. So, all right, so Ashwini. Now the underlined words have to do with specific qualities of the nakshatras.
Okay.
So, for example, Ashwini is a Kshipra or Lagu nakshatra. Kshipra means swift, quick. So anything like, let's say you want to take medicine. You want to take medicine when the moon is in a swift nakshatra. You want to begin a fast. You want to begin something that you want to have quick results. You do it on a Kshipra or Lagu. Same thing, light or swift, nakshatra, like Ashwini. The other Kshipra nakshatras are Pushya, Hasta as well. So they tend to produce results quickly.
Swati as well.
Swati is Chara, it's movable, but the Chara and the Lagu nakshatras are very similar.
Okay.
So yeah, so the Chara nakshatras are good for travel, for moving. So moving day, or flying to India,
Right.
they're almost interchangeable. All right, striding swift on level plains, the twin Kumars with whipping manes, hearts of gold and guts of steel, lightly ride to help or heal. So those of you who know the nakshatras know that they are horses. This is a level nakshatra, so there is upward, downward, and level. Those are also 3 qualities of the 27 nakshatras. They rule gold, so if you're going to buy gold, it's good to do it on, this day, and so on. So pretty straightforward, right? Bharani's lips conceal the womb that maintains life and seals its womb. To suckle from the mother's breast yields Kama's force and Yama's death. For that fount of inspiration roars with fires of fierce creation. And there's a little footnote here that says astronomers have discovered that the planet Venus, which it presides over this nakshatra, it's not the deity, but it presides over it, it sheds its surface just like periodically. So the surface of Venus gets hot and it sort of recreates itself, like the monthly cycle that women have. The purging cycle, and I didn't know this, but when I wrote this poem, this was big news in astronomy circles that they had discovered this quality of the planet Venus. So there's a fierce kind of quality to this nakshatra. Its lord is Yama, and okay. And a word of counsel from those who know, having cinched their lips by saying no. For ye who court this Pitta last, 'tis well to bow and just say yes. Surrender is the golden key for those who know her mystery. So Pitta people, if you know, in Ayurveda, there is a saying, treat Vata like a flower. Means keep them hydrated, warm, and be very gentle around a Vata person. If you're rough and tumble and aggressive, Vata will shrink and wilt. Treat Kapha like an enemy. So with Kapha, which is very stula, very kind of set, you want to, come on, move it. Come on, you jerk. Kapha will secretly respect a person who is more aggressive with them. When I used to be a trainer at the gym, I would really, push the Kaphas, and even though they complained the whole time, secretly they loved it. And when they came back, they always asked for me to be their trainer. Because they want to be poked. They know they need it. And Pitta, so you treat Vata like a flower, Pitta like Kapha like an enemy, and you treat Pitta like a spouse. You always say, yes, honey. Yes, dear. Yes,
I learned that.
So even when they're wrong, like the Pitta says, 2 and 2 is definitely 5. You say, yes, dear, yes. And let's see what the book says. And you show them the book, and they go, 2 and 2 is definitely 4, right? So you let them realize that they're wrong. You never fight your Pitta spouse.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so kritika. Kritika literally means cutter, krintate, to cut. The cutter's caustic, quick critiques could foster piercing pains and peaks, but ere you scream, turn down the heat, remember that a Kapha treat, soft and cool, unctuous and sweet, will mix her fiery irritation into love or constipation. So pray forgive this verbal feast, my Pleiades, rise and eat. So anyway, this is Kritika rules foster parenting, piercing. It is a downward nakshatra. The deity is Agni and heat, Kapha. It's a sharp and soft nakshatra. So it's Mridu and Tikshna. And has to do with, eating, and the Yogatara is the Pleiades, or specifically Alcyon. star. Is this making sense, or is it just stupid?
No, no, no.
As for Rohini, we all know that she's the gal who steals the show. Since lonely lovers love to laud her, I'll just say 2 words about her. She's nice. Cool Soma's warmest wife, this growing calf is quite the spice of life. For even Brahma's plow doth rise when he spies the red bull's eye, unchastely chasing his own daughter up through heaven's milky waters, where in turn he ends up slaughtered. Now, Rohini and Mrigashira share some meanings, so I'm bleeding some meanings through Rohini and Mrigashira. Brahma is the deity, but Soma is the moon who loves, this is his favorite wife, right? Rohini, Ruh means to rise, or to go up, or to climb. And the rest is the red bull's eye is Aldebaran, the star, the Yogatara of Rohini, and so on. So anyway, so all right, I'll sort of keep going here. And so, my dear, why don't you just give in to Father Brahma's lust? O filthy poet, bite thy tongue, quoth Shiva as he sliced and hung Mrigashir on heaven's rung. For ye who seek this doleful doe, but turn your eyes on Orion's bow, and like a gem there you will spy the timid, tender, soft and shy, Shira wandering the jeweled sky. So Mrigashira has to do with searching, seeking. It's a soft Mridu Nakshatra, rules gemstones, fine clothing, and you will know Mrigashira people by the curvature in their bodies. They have beautiful curved eyebrows, or curved, like curviness. Both in men and women, there's a sort of a beauty, a curvy beauty.
Yeah.
To their appearance. All right, and a little bit about Ardra. When Ardra's storm blows through your soul and lays your ravaged home to waste, wipe your tears and heed the call to build a castle in its place. For life will never life betray, no matter what French poets say. And even the most dreadful chance can hold a gift there in its hands, as a carcass in the butcher's tent turns death into nourishment. So Ardra, the storm, tears, the dreadful nakshatra, and it rules the butcher caste, right? The outcast who deals with death.
Turns death into nourishment. What is that?
Well, something has to die in order for us to eat, whether it's a plant, an animal.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right?
Okay, I see. Turns death into nourishment.
So the idea here is, if you are born with Ardra, some people with Ardra feel they got a raw deal, right? Why was I born in such a effed up family? Why was I born in such bad circumstances? But the idea here is to turn that, even the most dreadful chance holds a gift there in its hands for you. That is actually Ardra's gift, because it makes them hard. It makes them not just hard, it makes them their eyes open to the suffering of humanity, which then they can come back. Ardra people usually want to, unless they turn the other direction. Bin Laden, I think, has a lot of Ardra, or had. But mostly the people I meet with Ardra are healers. They want to ease the suffering.
Yeah, Rudra was the actual original medicine person in Rig Veda.
Yeah, right?
He's the original medical person, more than even Ashwini or Hasta.
Yeah.
It's Rudra.
Because he retreats to the forest and he connects with all the hurt, everything in the forest speaks to him, and he's the one you go to when you have no recourse. And his is the Mahamrityunjaya mantra, right? Trambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam urvarukam nivabandhanan mrityur mukshi yamamratat. This is to Rudra, the Triambaka, the three-eyed one. And so the Rudra person can turn the most direst of situations into something good. Just like a carcass in the butcher's tent turns death into nourishment for others. So that's the essence of Ardha as I see it. And it's one of the most powerful nakshatras, because who can get in the way of Rudra? When a storm, when the hurricane Andrew is blowing, what else are you going to do except bow down and hide? You can't go about your normal day. The storm is powerful, powerful. Yeah. All right. So the next nakshatra, Punarvasu. A harmless thought like a river when harnessed can make you quiver. But Guru's aim is always true when he sights the mark in Punarvasu, whose free and noble souls at home, where sattvic mind and fingers roam through boundless thought and endless tone. So the idea here is Einstein had his lagna in Punarvasu, and his thoughts, his ideas turned when they were harnessed, actually became the atom bomb. But they also are responsible for, our televisions and cell phones. So his simple thought experiments proved to be incredibly powerful. That's the idea with Punarvasu.
I see.
In this verse. It's a sattvic nakshatra, rules the fingers anatomically. Aditi is the ruler, so there's Aditi means boundlessness. The quiver is the symbol, and there's this idea of leaving home, traveling and coming back with Punarvasu people. They like their home base, but like the arrow leaves the quiver and returns, there's a sense of constant travel. All right, and a little bit of, by the way, stop me if you have a question about anything, but these nakshatras better than I do.
No.
All right, so pushya, push, to nourish. Nourishing like soft as butter, pushya is the utter, richly decked in divine wimple, chaste and ample like his symbol, in all things giving and maternal. Wait till Magha for to get paternal. In all abundant, in all things stayed. This guy's really got it made. But he's also light and chatty, like his guru, Brihaspati. Don't blame me if this seems contrary, because he's also plump and heavy. Good for all, excepting marriage. See Rohini's wane or carriage. Embrace all hope who enter here. Abandon ego, hate, and fear. For even sourest of malefics will begin to act like sweet.
Wow. Yeah. You captured the true essence there. Yeah.
And by the way, one of these days we're going to do a class, whether with you or I don't know, somewhere to put online, to help for Vedic astrologers who are mispronouncing Sanskrit, because I hear this all the time, and I'm a gringo too, so my Sanskrit isn't perfect, but I hear really good astrologers, by the way, excellent astrologers, but pronunciation, the stuff they say, that kind of makes me cringe. And so one of these days we're going to go into I don't know, like how when you hear someone in Spanish or another language really kind of butcher the language, and you go, oh, like, hola, me llamo Simón, ¿cómo está, señor? And you go, really?
Yeah.
You should try a little harder. So, and even little things like Ruchaka yoga. Oh, you've got this great Ruchaka yoga. It's not Ruchaka, it's Ruchaka. Just little things like that. It's not a long it's Ruchaka.
Guruchitta yoga.
Ruchaka yoga. And Shani, oh Shani, and my chakras. He's activating your chakras. It's not a chakra, it's a chakra.
Chakra, yeah.
It's Shani. It's not Shani. He's not, a Native American tribe. He's Shani. Anyway, so I can go off on this tangent.
I know.
But it's nothing wrong, because we just don't have the training. I was talking like that before I had the training. So I think we need to do a training anyway. So this is my little jab at American pronunciation.
Mm-hmm.
Brihaspati. All right. Oh, there's more on Pushya here. For even
Wow, you
sours,
really dedicated this to Pushya.
you think I like Pushya a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
So good for all, excepting marriage. So Pushya is good for everything except marriage. See Rohini's wane or carriage for that. Embrace all hope who enter here, abandon ego, hate, and fear, for even sourest of malefics will begin to act like sweet benefics, as the blessed face of love turns a hawk into a dove. Ugh! I'd resolved to never show this hackneyed rhyme, but there you go. Even Byron once or twice in the short course of his life had no recourse but to address it, and I'm his hero. Would have guessed it. Anyway, this love dove rhyme is something poets really hate, but
Mm-hmm.
all right, Ashlesha, Muhammad Ali's Nakshatra. Float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. But Ashlesha's own Muhammad Ali, who wrapped opponents in his dreadful coils. But to wake this snake, I'd suffer her toils. For those who've looked into her eyes can't help but to be hypnotized. And so must, my friends, here we must end the first part of this threefold tale. We'll resume when for my plume I deign to tame the lion's tail. So basically, these are the first 9. Um, any, I'll skip this little introduction here to the rest.
Okay.
So basically, I'm saying that I'm going to start with a new.
Okay.
This is the form.
Oh, you're doing the 999.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva.
So now we're starting with Magha, starting over 1 through 9. And this form, this stanza was something that Byron used in his poem called Don Juan. We would say Don Juan, but the British in the 1800s pronounced it Juan. And so so I'm copying him here self-consciously. O mighty regal Magha, you fiercely reign in royal thrones, heroes' hearts, and tyrants' fists. And well knew Egypt, Rome, and Greece your name, but gone is Alexander in the Aegean mists. Pharaoh and the Caesars have been tamed, like the flame that flares and ceases to exist. And all that remains of your sad ambition is the dusty memory of your position. All that remains is the faces and names, cried the bard of the Edmund Fitzgerald, who well could have sung Napoleon's fame. But that's all been done. See Child Harold. In fact, dear Magha, your tales are the same. Deeds of kings, clay mings, and lionized pharaohs, and all the various tawdry intrigues, requisite of those who play in your leagues. So this idea of Magha being associated with empire, with ancient things, so archaeologists, Egyptologists, people who study the past, historians, grand things. I mean, for better or worse, Trump has Magha very prominent in his chart, right? Yeah, and so all of the sense of empire, I'm the king, this kind of thing, they're big, right? All right, so anyway, I'm going to skip here. So Magha rules o'er things sublime, majestic, just, and leonine. Ba, your truth is far less glib. Oblige me as I dip my nib into this float. So anyway, now I get to the seedy side of Magha. Past Roman nose and curling lip, you view your kingdom as you sip on goblets filled with peasant blood, a fuel that's worth no more than wood, while glazed ambition's glassy eyes mete out punishment and prize. But pray forgive this royal bashing, though they're all due for a thrashing, and I could go on at some length. Why should I spare the strength? The world is, has been, and will be the stage for all to learn to see. Kings and kingdoms are frail creations, but win one heart, you win all nations. So off I go to my meditation. Even then, I wasn't a fan of authority and kings and queens and all that stuff. All right, should we go on? I mean, is this
Yeah.
Okay. All right, the two Falgunis here together. Now let's resume this once doomed tale and hit the sheets to hunt some tail. You see, I haven't changed that much these 100 years. I'm still debauched, but that's my nature. So just sue me. Tonight I dream of Miss Falguni. The idea here is that the two stars, the markers, the Yogataras of the Falgunis are Zosma and the Nebula. Those are their Western names. And they are the tail of the lion. Zosma is the tail right where it attaches to the lion, and that's Purva Falguni. And then Uttara is the end of the tail. So there's this idea of, you know, the lion's tail. For who can help but be demurring when her bed is so alluring? Her siren song in sweet ablutions erase all sense and resolutions to write or rhyme. I'd rather listen, wooed and cooed by lewd musicians, and test the tension of her cushions. This place is just so damn Venusian. So very creative nakshatra, very kind of lazy.
They love sleeping.
They love sleeping. They love, you know, making out. They love just comfort. You know, oh, I gotta do this. No, I'm just gonna hang out and listen to some music.
That's some fun life, man. I wish I had that.
And these people often become entertainers or movie stars, or you see a lot of Purva Falguni people who are just lucky, blessed in some way. Purva Uttara.
What if you have malefics in Purva Falguni?
Well, then not so much. So the malefics will can cause eye problems because Magha, the deity, was blinded, or sometimes they see things that they never forget. Like, I don't know if people out there who are listening to this have had this, who have the Falguni, Purva especially, like they walked in on their parents making out, or just they saw something early in life that, like, oh my God, I wish I had seen that.
Yeah.
So this is a theory. Let's test this out, and people can.
No, I know people who, as just exactly what you said.
Really, but they have Falguni.
Yes, malefics.
Malefics and Falguni. Yeah.
So they had a malefic experience. With
with the eyes. Like, so even if it's not eye trouble, it's like, I mean, unless the second house or the 12th is involved, and you know, sun and moon are weak or whatever. But in malefics, then the other quality is that they rely on their luck too much. These are the people who the gas gauge is going empty, and they're like, I'll make it. And they somehow make it. Like the car runs out of gas and they roll right into a gas station. There's a sense of relying on your luck a little too much. And the final thing is they're hoarders. You know that show Hoarders on cable? I bet if we did a study of the charts of those people, they would statistically have a higher correlation of Falguni in their chart than most others.
Oh, no, I can definitely. My dad had it and he was a hoarder.
Yeah, they like to keep stuff.
Junk like you would not believe. Like, I'm like, why do you need this? You haven't used it in 5 years. But no, it just, in India, they call it kabar. That's what he had. Junk all over the store, useless thing.
And if it's benefics, or if it's, so let's say it's a dignified malefic, you know, maybe Mars is there, I don't know. Then maybe they because it's Leo, so he does well there. Maybe they collect, you know, war memorabilia or dignified things, but they're still hoarding. And if it's Jupiter or Venus there, it's going to be good things. Lots of cushions on the bed and lots of stuffed toys and stuff, to where you walk in the room and you feel like you're interrupting something. Like, you know, there's too much going on here. So those are some of the negative qualities. And every star has its pluses and minuses. All right, Hasta. Oh, well, those stars were fun and laughs, but hanging out in bars is crass, unless you are a Vaishya
Wait,
lass.
what happened to Uttara Falguni?
Oh, well, this is, I merged them both here.
Oh, I see. There's a yeah, because there's the
Yeah,
weird nakshatras.
because the bed is the symbol for both, Purva and Uttara, the front and the
Oh, I
back
see. I see.
bed. Ablutions is, the Shiva Linga is also an alternate symbol of Purva, and ablution is where you pour, it's, what you call it? Where you pour milk over
Okay, the Shivling, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so I mixed them together.
Okay.
So, all right. So let's ease up on all the drinking and do instead some level thinking while stepping out to greet the sun for a bit of outdoor fun. Hasta's grasp of things divine belies his secret life of crime. He'll ask politely at least once until he gets just what he wants. But don't reproach this flighty mime his poet's heart and scheming mind, for like a jester on a dime, he'll turn from silly, sublime. He'll turn from light and passive verse to fain declaim some high discourse. And just in case you didn't notice, it's from experience I know this. My Lagnesh is there, full lotus. So Hasta is the nakshatra of the Pandit. They are a level nakshatra ruled by Surya as the deity. It's a Vaishya nakshatra, merchant. It's light, so it's also a good nakshatra for business. Has to do with fun and laughter. Great comedians come from Hasta because they're very quick on their feet. You say something, boom, they come right back at you. Hasta means hand, and it's a hand that's grasping something. So they're very quick to grasp intellectual concepts, but also if it's a little malefic, they're good thieves, right? They want to grasp what's not theirs. It's a divine nakshatra. This is used for compatibility. So if your moon is in a Rakshasa, in a demon nakshatra, and your partner is in a divine, especially if she's a woman and you're a man, that's considered not good compatibility. So those three, divine, human, demon, are one way to look at the nakshatras. But that's mainly used from compatibility. Rules poetry, joke writing. It's a light nakshatra, passive. So I think you get the gist, right? One thing about Hasta is they'll often look like cherubs. They'll have cheeks, kind of plump cheeks, and a nose, like very kind of accentuated. The cheeks.
Like yours?
Are mine accentuated?
Hasta ascendant, right?
Yeah, well, not my ascendant, but my Lagnesh. My Lagnesh is there, yeah. So, yeah, I know a little something about Hasta. Hasta is interesting. Chitras are creative dames with a sultry and artistic bent, who also like to feel maintained, for diamonds are a girl's best friend. Yes, Spika's daughters are full of treasures, and, but only for their lover's pleasure, they'll fan their passions beyond measure. But don't mistake their tender sweetness as a bright sign of their weakness. Within their demon hearts there beats a spirit that you can't defeat. This is the rising nakshatra of Gandhiji, and he was undefeatable. Chitra is a highly creative nakshatra, and they need to be doing something artistic all the time. It's also the nakshatra of the sugar daddy or sugar mommy, where they receive support throughout life or they support someone else. So there's this idea of diamonds are a girl's best friend.
Wait, I thought you said this is a nakshatra of undefeated. Wasn't that Uttarafalg or Uttarashada?
It's the Ashadas, yes, but when you read the descriptions of Chitra, they are very difficult to defeat.
Okay.
There is something about
I like that.
The deity Vishvakarma. You know, he made all the weapons for the gods and their flying saucers and their castles, and basically rendering them almost undefeatable.
Okay.
And that's a quality of this nakshatra that's maybe not a lot of people know about, because it's a soft nakshatra, right?
Yeah.
Tender and diamonds and jewels and art, but it's also hard underneath when pushed. O Swati, you alone have known the soul's demanding wails and moans, the dark and blissful interludes, the price and cries of solitude. Buffeted by fate, moved and blown on winds who lightly steal your home. Yet happily you remain level, ever showering your gust-blown petals, ever passive, ever meek, ever offering the other cheek, until time was always chewing his wound-up tail and thus renewing life, until times deemed you mature. Then with roots fast and secure, the fruits of your long winter nights appear for everyone's delight. So Swati Nakshatra is movable. It's represented by a little plant, a little shoot, that over time, when its roots become solid, it exceeds anything that is around it. It becomes powerful.
Okay.
Swati people, Swati, going beyond your family, what they have given you. And usually Swati people outdo or try to outdo.
I've actually found very rich people with this nakshatra.
Yeah, they're highly motivated to go beyond what their birth circumstances were. Right? So early in life, fate moves them around, the wind blows them around. So they're very dedicated to being solid.
Yeah.
Vishaka's only goal is to sway the motley crowd to turn her way. Unlike her Kapha constitution, she's down with leading revolutions, while her forked tongue inspires emotion and actively creates devotion. It's hard to say among her peers who follows out of love, who fear. Raised on high, her arms and fists, unlike her demon tiger sis, lead her great ambitious nations to victorious, strange celebration. Anyway, Vishaka is about, it's forked. Vishaka literally means a branch that's forked, and it's got all of these qualities.
Actively, okay. Demon tiger, huh?
No, so demon tiger was Chitra.
Yeah. Because Vishaka is also a tiger. Female tiger, I believe.
Yeah. It is. Well, right. So okay, yeah. So this are the qualities, but because Chitra is also a demon tiger. Chitra.
Unlike her demon tiger sis. Nation to victorious.
Yeah. So there is this idea of victorious celebrations. Vishaka. It's pulled by Indra and Agni, right? The two head honchos in heaven, and they're also about victory. This part is of the zodiac is about, with Chitra and with Vishaka, there's, even though it's Libra, we tend to think, which is kind of a soft sign, they're actually pretty hard. Yeah. All right. Anuradha, you are far from home. Chasing Radha, you've roamed and combed the world for a place to call your own. Igniting lovely divine sparks of friendship, heart to sacred heart, your level passive tender ways invite surrender to your rays that through the arch of no defeat light the way to your lotus feet. You lead with light and easy laughter, not a simple trick to master, like pulling numbers from your hat. What are the odds of that? So some qualities of, I got these from, when I first wrote this, I was reading Hart Defoe's book, Light on Life. And Anuradha is Mitra is the deity, so friendship, democracy. All right, so I'm kind of gonna move here just so we don't bore everybody to death here. Move to the next one. And oh, Jyeshta, you are the eldest by far, protector of all who fall neath your aegis. Brightest, aegis is a shield. Brightest, most dreadful of Vrishchika stars, your scorpion sting is known to be vicious. Like Indra, you're active, daring, and hard. Your last Navamsha is most inauspicious. But in a pinch, more than most others, I'd have you by my side if I had my druthers. So, Jyeshta, the eldest, Indra, powerful star. And all right, so I'm gonna kind of.
So now you're in the last 9 nakshatras.
Yeah, so there's, I'm gonna skip all of this stuff here. So you guys can read this. It's a free download. You can go to the site and read this on your own time. Here is Mula. With roots entwined down in the deep, it's hard to move your dreadful feet or get you up from off your seat. Poor Niriti, your name spells doom, but as the saying goes, for whom? Those cats who like to count their Mula firmly seated in their stula and revel in their name and riches had better tighten up their breeches, save their change and never borrow, lest their greed becomes their sorrow. The idea is you never borrow when the moon is in Mula, because that debt is going to become serious. And of course, I make the mistake all the time. I always borrow money when the moon is in Mula for some reason, and it never turns out. I've got a planet in Mula, so maybe that's the karma. So this is a dreadful nakshatra, rules the feet. And I'll let you guys, those who want to read more about it, I have a lot more to say on it here. So here's the ashadas.
Both the ashadas in one poem.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna skip some.
Maintained on our solid thighs.
So this is a maintenance. The second ashada is a maintenance nakshatra, rules the thighs, balance. And if you want the winning side, don't argue, friend, just join the ride, because those who cross her roll the dice and risk a quick and fierce demise. Yes, once you challenge, you're in store for nothing less than total war, though that's not true of Purva's fellow victor, Uttara, who's mellow, owing to her kapha nature, despite the mutual nomenclature and kshatriya stature. She's quite nice. This is the Uttara Ashada. And valued for her good advice, more so than her Brahmin neighbor. Ganesha gives her a sweeter flavor, whose tusk is if well fixed in the earth, gives any project gracious birth. And once the seeds have well been sown, look up, for they can only grow. So the tusk is the symbol of Uttarashada. It's a fixed nakshatra, so it's a good time to plant, to put the foundations of a house, to start building anything you want to have permanence. And there's the association with Ganesh. It's an upward moving nakshatra, so very auspicious for beginning new things. And let's not forget the often gypped star of stars, Krishna's Abhijit, who once rode high the milky shores, but in our age is used no more. Because we don't use Abhijit that much, right? Should we skip Shravana?
Why are you be skipping Shravana?
Okay, we won't skip. We'll just read a little bit because I don't want to bore the audience here. Oops. With grin that spreads. See, Shravana is protesting here. Hey, man, don't skip me. Oh, Lord Vishnu. Om Namo Narayanaya. With grin that spreads from ear to ear, Shravana people love to hear tales of glory, tales of woe, and tales of learning most of all. Divine preserver, Lord Vishnu, every step you take renews what Kala's sands have just erased. You moved with grace to match his pace. Your divine, passive, tireless gait keeps up with Kala to create impressions so that all may know the timeless stitches you have sewn, and read your passage to encrypt the meter of your sandy script. So this is a pun on Sanskrit because Shravana has to do with language and learning, and Vishnu the idea that time wipes everything away, but Vishnu, through his inspiration, recreates it. Shravana also has to do with Shrona, which is the pelvis. And so if there are malefics here, or if it's afflicted, it can create a limp. So gait is how you walk, right?
Yep. Very true.
And so it can create problems with walking. Though time erodes them endlessly, your footprints in the sand are three. The past is now, and now a memory. The idea of the three footsteps, past, present, future, the three gunas, and how they're constantly changing. Three footsteps in the sand, they get erased, and they come back. Passage of time. All right, Dhanishta. Oh, I'm pretty brutal on Dhanishta. We probably shouldn't. I'm not nice to Dhanishta people. In this poem.
Okay.
Now for Dhanishta, we must slip into a British sort of trip and stiffen our upper lips, that these stanzas come out swazable and my rhymes more plausible. All right, I'm gonna not do that. Let's see.
Wait, Dhanishta, type people. Okay. Aerobic, active, pitta. No, I want to read this. This is like, when they're older.
Always reaching for the highest steeples, the Nishtas are type A people, Asuric, active, Pitta A's, whose stomping grounds the USA, because America is kind of like we're full of that type of person.
Yeah.
They're mostly one big Bala Avastha. So Bala Avastha is the last 6 degrees of an even sign and the first 6 degrees of an odd sign. So when you think about it, Dhanishta is basically the Bala. Bala means child, not Bala. Bala is strength, Bala is child, the long ah. This is why we got to do a class on pronunciation.
Yeah.
But short and long make a huge difference. Like Mala and Mala. Mala means poop. Mala means garland. So if you want to give a garland to your guru, you don't say I made a mala for you.
Yeah.
You just made a duty in the bathroom and you
want
right? Yeah. See, to our year in the US, it's just there's no meaning in there's no difference in meaning. To the Sanskrit ear, and are completely different meaning, completely different sound. So this is Bala Avastha, the child. So when a planet is in Bala Avastha, it's not yet fully developed. Anyway, the Nishta rules that back in the anus, that's its anatomical rulership. They're mostly one big ball of Avastha who, like kids without a master, can be anal when they're older. Oh, Avastha and Masta. This is why you need to say this with a British accent, because these rhyme.
Yeah.
Hold on one second. Okay. Who, like kids without a Masta, can be anal when they're older and turn the lover the cold shoulder when she won't do what they have told her. So the Nishta has a reputation for not having good relationships unless they work at them. They have to work on themselves. And here I go off a little bit. We'll just skip this part. In art, they're forceful and austere, less Rembrandt, more Vermeer. They want for softness, grace, and charm, that female power to disarm, so well prized in the boudoir, it's Shani's sign in Kuja's star, that makes their romantic antics seem to most like strong-arm tactics. They've got money, sure, and fast Corvettes, and gemstones on their epaulettes. And when it's time to take control, they're the ones who lead the show. And you can't fault their charity, ambition, or prosperity. But there's a certain grace they lack, on which they shouldn't turn their backs, for ambition's other face is fear, which in the bedroom becomes clear. Again, I'm very mean to Dhanishta. Maybe because I'm jealous, actually. because I actually admire the Nishta people there. Michael Jordan is a Danishta person, a lot of great athletes, successful people, but they have to work on their relationships. That's the one thing. All right. Shatabisha. Any questions? Did I just offend like half the population of India? Hope not. The boy in the bubble's final wish was to know why he was born Shatabishas. This star's kids are on a mission which often comes to fruition, for they're active and move quickly, unless fate turns and makes them sickly. They're the types who through the bars of any window count the stars, who like to have their panchang handy, sit alone and sip their brandy, and ponder maps of time and space, musing if our jets will win the race. Their self-enclosed raw behavior gives the star a Rahu flavor, which can make its gents myopic and at times seem misanthropic. Their lesson is coming to grips, like the Nishtan relationships, with this world's endless boundaries. Aditi helps resolve these quandaries. The paradox is that they will find all contained within the nil. So the zero is a symbol, one of the symbols for the Nishta. And you know, Varuna is the deity which rules Varuni, which is wine and alcohol, spirits. Strong association with the stars, the skies. Yeah. Purva Bhadrapada. O sorcerer, your vile brews the angry bile in which you stew, but jumping from the pan is dire, since put away to searing fire, and all the Brahmins on your side cannot make your fears subside. Unparalleled in your ferocity and unmatched in your rosity, let's hope your sattvic mind creates a passive outlet for your hate. Again, I'm kind of not nice to these guys too. Purva, but there's a lot of, anyway, moving on. Uttara Bhadrapada, O Pegasus. This is the constellation Pegasus, where the Bhadrapadas are. Your rear good feet tap fountains of primordial heat, and the mountains whence they flow become your source of self-control. Your God's the serpent of the deep, who likes to wake us from our sleep with lines from never published poems, although I'm sure someday we'll show them. That I write with heart unfettered, but to ride your back is even better. In fact, you're the acme of Agori, but for that, see Robert's story. So this is the nakshatra of the Agori, because it has to do with burning away all superficiality and getting to the heart of things.
Okay.
And it's a little tip of the hat to Robert Svoboda and his, his books. And finally, we come to Revati, patron star of roads and taverns, the bogey's Ritz, the yogi's cavern. Revati, your cadence measures the hours of my worldly pleasures. And when your foster time runs out, there's no need to scream and shout, for long as there are souls on earth, you will give them shelter, food, and mirth. There's nothing like the tender cushions of the ever-genial Pushan, who, like any happening host, brings the party wherever he goes. And those who wish to take a seat will find their bellies quite replete with sattvic sweet and divine treats, brought on the wings of Buddha's feet. So, anyway, so that's Revati, which is ruled by Pushan, who had his teeth knocked out when he was, he grabbed some of the prasad too early from a royal party, and Shiva knocked his teeth out.
Man, Shiva's ruthless.
Shiva's ruthless, but he does it because Pushan was giving in to his greed and his lust and his, desire. And Shiva never the gods never punish without it being a blessing. So it's actually a blessing.
That's true.
But people with this nakshatra, particularly malefics there, and some connection to the second house, perhaps may have.
No, I've always seen this. It works like a charm. Like let's say the ninth lord is in Revati. And if you use this, remember that Padam Chakra I was talking about, 1 year equals 1 age. So if let's say one has a ninth lord in the 12th house, okay, it clearly shows either 4 months after they were born or in the 12th year of their life, father would have a chipped tooth or some major issue in the teeth. Always works, especially the 12th house, because 12th house is hospitals, right? So father had to go to hospital due to some sudden issue with the tooth.
And you got it down to the year because it's the 12th house.
12th house, yeah.
Yeah.
So 12th year, or because ninth lord is 4 places away from itself. So when you were born, if you count the months from ninth house, the 4th month will be where the 9th lord is. So when you were maybe 4 months old, father may have had if you just take the first year, the 12th month or the 4th month when you were born, father would have some issue in the teeth. Most of the time I find it the 12th year.
Yeah. Interesting, yeah.
Or when you were 12 months. So
the deities are really, really revealing. Just understanding the deities.
No, just that. I'm telling you, just nakshatras can make a person a very good astrologer. Not 100% accurate, but they can just say things to you that are just going to resonate. It's like, that's what I say. We're living 27 scripts. We're living 27 stories. The 7 billion people, that's it. Their vitality will be depending upon the patha. How severe, how big is your climax in your story will be the patha, but you're just living 27 stories. That's it. You can't go outside of that. Like you said, even someone like Michael Jordan is playing that story of the Dhanishta.
Yeah.
But he can't go outside of that, or he'll play one of the other 27th story. That's it, man. That's all we're doing.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. But even that allows us so much freedom to express who we are.
Who we are, yeah. Like one will express their Dhanishta by going into real estate, the other will show it on a basketball court. So that's the beauty.
So I'll just finish this, with this last verse, and those who want to read, the rest of it can. Singing is sweet, but be sure of this: lips only sing when they cannot kiss. That's from another poem. Had I some speck of social life, a girlfriend, consort, or a wife, I wouldn't beat my brains to write what at best will be called trite. But since I have, oh well, hot damn, I'll make it as long as I can. No. I'll load each rift in term with meanings or to help you learn. And if now you know from end to end who is who and what was meant, then you, my friend, like Frank Sinatra, are king of the hill, or at least
Beautiful. So,
wow. So hopefully you guys are now kings of the hills and nakshatras as well.
Yeah, no, this is beautiful. Yeah, thank you for coming and showing this in a beautiful manner like that.
Well, thanks for having me, Kapiel. I know this is kind of a weird, a weird topic, but
no, I mean, I've actually had even Jeffrey Armstrong talk about nakshatras and poems and zodiac signs and poems. So this is my second poetry night here on YouTube.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, so this poetry slam tonight. Well, I've over the last, my own little secret project is a long poem on the 12 houses of Jyotish, and this is super short compared to it, because people who have read my books, my Dharma book is over 400 pages. I go on and on, but I have a poem like this on the 12 houses of Jyotish, and I don't share it with people, but it's
wow. No, this was a treasure that you shared. So yeah, thank you for that.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much.
Do you have any, are you doing any consultations for people, or taking on any students?
I mainly just write poetry, sit around and write poetry.
Man, I love that life. Can I have that life? I just want to. I don't want to work. I just want to write poetry.
That's who I am. You know, like that buried life poem that I read at the beginning. We do so many things to sort of get by in life, but in our own hearts. Like to me, I'm a poet. That's at least that's what I think.
You should have Venus from your Karakamsha Lagna in Germany.
Venus from Karakamsha Lagna, yeah.
Yeah, somehow it should aspect or sit there.
Yeah.
Moon or Venus.
Yeah, it's there. Both.
Okay, yeah, you're a poet. That's it. You're following your dharma.
Yeah, except poets, like poets in this life don't get laid and work at real jobs to get paid. That's from another poem. But that's the type of poet I am. I'm interested in Jyotish, not rap and stuff like that. But
great. Okay. Thank you, Simon, for coming in.
All right.
Bye-bye.